Today, there is a discussion about whether the Internet is more beneficial or harmful to teenagers. The group members who participate in discussion were Song Litao, Liang Zhiyu, Deng Ziyan, and Zhang Chenxue. And students are free to speak.
Okay, the title of my speech today is The Benefits of the Internet to Teenagers. So let me introduce first. In this information-rich era, the emergence of the Internet has become a certain way for people to communicate. It affects people's lives all the time. The main users of the Internet are contemporary teenagers. The influence of the Internet on teenagers is both positive and negative. The first opinion is the creativity of teenagers has been developed. Teenagers can create and apply some new knowledge by the extensive information on the Internet, such as collecting relevant learning materials. The information that teenagers come into contact with on the Internet is often different from their understanding. Under this background, teenagers often think constantly to understand the truth of the matter, which also makes great changes in their thinking. For teenagers, it has been greatly improved in training innovative thinking, cultivating thinking ability, and realizing innovative content. The second opinion is the Internet brings more convenience to teenagers. For teenagers, the emergency of networks shortens the times of information publishing and receiving, and avoids much unnecessary waste of resources. As long as enter what you want on the Internet and click search, a large number of related materials will be presented in front of you. Today, with the high development of the information industry, the network has become the best media. For students who want to take exams, many large-scale exams can be registered, and their scores can be inquired online instead of calling to inquire as before, which is very troublesome. The third opinion is the network has greatly narrowed the distance between people. Now, WeChat has been used all over the world. With WeChat, you can connect friends and all over the world. For example, each WeChat emotions are often used by teenagers. Teenagers tend to express their inner feelings by sending expression packs when chatting, which is more vivid and interesting than typing words. The influence of the Internet on teenagers does not stop there. For example, during the pandemic, some students can't go to class normally, but through the Internet, the students can study with their classmates in the classroom. The above are my opinions. If you have different opinion, you can put it forward. Thank you.
I don't agree with you. There is no denying that the Internet has some benefits for teenagers, but in contrast, the Internet has done more harm than good to teenagers. The reason for this is that the frequency of Internet use by teenagers in our society has become increasingly high and has gone beyond normal use. In 2019, the size of teenagers under age of teenagers Internet users was 175 million, and the Internet preparation rate of teenagers reached 93%, and teenagers have the highest proportion of Internet time per capita, reaching 32%. Using the internet to listen to music and play games are the main activities among teenagers internet users, accounting for more than 16% of the total hours. Therefore, we cannot deny that the internet has taken up a huge part of teenagers' daily life and has a tendency to continue to increase. The phenomenon that teenagers are addicted to the internet and affected their normal life deserve attention. First, the internet is harmful to the physical health of teenagers. Teenagers who are addicted to the internet have to sleep and eat in a simple way, and their original life views are broken, and they often stay up late all night to indulge the internet, which will easily lead to a serious health problems. In addition, teenagers have low self-discipline, and the internet will affect their studies. It is difficult for teenagers to control themselves, and it is easy for them to chat and play on the internet and spend a lot of time and energy to the internet, resulting in a decline in interest in learning and academic progress. Due to the successive convenience of the internet, adolescents may become interested in the studies and turn to the internet first instead of meditating on problems, and their study habits will be affected. Second, a term of associated with adolescents and the internet is called international adaptation disorder. Its main effect is to reduce the sense of the social responsibilities of teenagers within the online society, as individuals are in a non-face-to-face environment. They lack in the pressure from reality, from the supervision and management of parents and teenagers. They will become more free and capricious of the internet and easily neglect their responsibilities to their family and society. Finally, the internet is convenient and fast, which makes it possible to filter the information that teenagers get. In other words, it is very likely that teenagers will go attractively because of certain information on the internet. We cannot limit the scope of internet use by each teenager, nor can we precisely determine whether the person who is using internet is a teenager or not. While the internet brings convenience to people, its drawbacks are intellectual. However, I believe that the internet should be more and bad on teenagers. Thank you.
I'm going to refute her point. The first solution to the negative effect is popularize the legal knowledge of the internet. The government should popularize Internet's legal knowledge, standardize Internet behavior, and let teenagers develop good habits of moral discipline, and take correspondingly manage measures and penalties when necessary. The second solution to the negative effect is let parents become the guidance for children to use the internet. Parents should fully understand the motivation of teenagers to use the internet and guide them to use the internet responsibly and healthily. According to the survey, 66.91% of parents have a neutral attitude force teenagers' use of the internet, and they believe that teenagers should be allowed to surf the internet moderately without affecting their studies. Thank you.
Um, I I would also like to refute the view that the advantage of internet technologies outweigh the disadvantage. There are too many real cases that have illustrated the harm that internet technology has brought to young people. I would like to add Zhang Chenxue's point of view. First, the internet will increase the probability of juvenile crime. On May 4th, 2002, a 40-year-old boy in Yuzhong District, Chongqing City, in order to raise money to go to an internet cave to play games, he and his two companies smashed his grandmother with a brick and robbed her of 38.2 yuan, the only money she had. On June 15th, 2002, Sun, a professional high school student in Beijing, killed his grandmother with a knife after she refused to pay for internet access. Later, she he sold his family refri- refrigerators and color TV set in exchange for 200 yuan. These teenagers addicted to online games in order to go to the internet cave to get online. Even their own relatives also want to harm. A visible internet damages how terrible. What's more, as Liang Zhiyu said, the internet brings convenience to teenagers in terms of information, but it also increases probability that teenagers will be exposed to bad information. Many teenagers have been exposed to some violent information on the internet, which makes teenagers accustomed to violent scenes and violent acts, and feel the beating and killing people are common. Once they encounter some intractable problems that are difficult to solve in real life, they will use violence, which is also confirmed by the above two cases of family killing. And then it's a fact of the internet on teenagers' bodies. We often hear about teenagers staying up all night to play video games, even to the point of not eating and not sleeping. There are also heard of the teenager because of excessive in gaming cases of sudden death. In Xitian Weitom Licheng District, Putian City, a 12-year-old boy died unexpectedly due to excessive addictions to online games. A boy named Ah Cong, not his real name, spent every day in front of his computers indulging in an organized gunfight game, which he often played for more than 10 hours. But that days, after he playing video games for 5 hours, he suddenly had a headache and later died. These cases also show the internet is a huge attraction to teenagers. Once addicted to it, is difficult to extricate themselves. It also confirms that the harm of the internet to the body of teenagers can't be ignored. The above are my opinions. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Song, I agree with you. However, all the problems you mentioned above all are based on the weak self-control of teenagers. The internet recognized this critical problem and is working to address it. I'm sure you must have heard of the anti-addiction system in games, which is now almost universal in all large web games, and some video sites have also followed suit. The first requirement is a real name system, and the second limit is based on the age of the user. Once the upper limit is reached, the user will not be able to enter the game. In my opinion, it is a practical measure to limit the time directly and prevent teenagers from spending too much time on games. After proper entertainment and relaxation, they can relax in time. What's more, the state is increasingly strict on the level of violence in games and films, especially in the youth, will dabble in the scope. It's absolutely not allowed to appear physically and mentally damaging pictures. The consortium is so strong that the tragedies you just mentioned are not easy to happen now. In addition, there are many software problems developed on the internet to help improve learning efficiency. One of the most famous is called Focus on the Forest. I have used this software before. You can set the time to lock the phone according to your own needs. During the time, you need to concentrate on planting trees, cannot open the use of other applications except the forest. Otherwise, your young tree will be die. If you focus within a certain amount of time, you will have several healthy young trees in your virtual garden. Once you have a certain number of young trees, you can exchange them for a real tree planted in the desert. Why not help you focus while doing a good job? There are also dozens of similar programs that help you to make a study plan and remind you to complete tasks on time. Some record your performance every time to help measure and trends. They're all about the same thing, which is to help students be more efficiency and push you like a virtual teacher. The internet has been making up for its shortcomings through its own innovations and advances. Thank you.
Well, then what Denzin said is also very reasonable. In recent years, the internet has indeed made great improvements in order to optimize the network environment, and the anti-addiction system has also prevented many teenagers from being harmed by online games. And this few internet technology is indeed more beneficial to teenagers. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for your understanding. It is true that the internet has both advantages and disadvantages, but considering the varieties, conveniences it has brought to the lives of teenagers and the efforts made to solve the disadvantages, we believe that it has more advantages than disadvantages. All things to think of good. Shortcomings, of course, cannot be avoided, but can be corrected through efforts. We can strengthen the supervision of the Internet, formulate new strategies for young people, increasing the output of useful content for learning, reduce the output of eye-catching entertainment projects, correct guidance and reasonable control. It is hoped that in the near future, teenagers' condition of the Internet will be more based towards providing information inquiry life convenience and other aspects, rather than games and entertainment. I believe that the internet industry will continue to do better and make full use of its strengths and to solve its weakness. I'm so glad that we can reach an agreement. So that's all of our discussion. Thanks for listening.